Hello YouTube. This video is about how and why I think W.C.B. was able to get rid of me, and that's all. As you know, in my first movie there about getting hurt, I was on W.C.B. and they took me to the Millard Rehabilitation Center. And they were making me do things like pick the sandbag up and this and that, and everything they made me do made me hurt. And I was only on, I can't remember what I was on, but I wasn't on very much medication that time, and like I was always in pain, and they were causing more pain, and they wouldn't give me any more medication. And, you know, they would pull that, well, if you don't do that, we're cutting you off. Then what's your family going to do? And, you know, that's how they drove me to do all the stuff that they made me do. And, like, I would go there, catch a cab to my hotel room, and I would spend, like, I went to one bingo in all the time I was there, just to get out. But I spent every night in my hotel room crying, most of the night, crying myself to sleep. Now, it's a hard thing for me to say that I was crying because, you know, I'm a man. You know, I don't like to cry in front of people and stuff. But this continued on, and like I said, I was complaining, and I said, like, I need help, like, you guys are overdoing it to me, you know what I mean? And like she left the room, and I spun that around, and I seen like what it said. And you know, like to paraphrase, it said, a native with multiple scars and contusions from barroom fights. Now, as I said before, you know, because I was beaten, bullied, abused, like all of my young life, I internalized rather than externalized. Like instead of growing stronger and fighting back, I sunk in to myself and withdrew. So I think I've only been in 2 or 3 fights in my life, and all of them, like, I ended up in the fetal position trying to protect myself until they were done beating me. So I'm a chicken shit, you know. I don't deal good with violence or fighting and stuff like that. I just don't. But that's what they said. And I tried to go to the discrimination board, and they said, oh, there's no discrimination there. So I guess they're allowed to say stuff like that to me. And I even called my MLA. I never talked to my MLA, but whoever answered the phone when I told my story, they just laughed at me. So, you know, nothing was ever done. And they moved me from OR2 to OR3 because, like, I was getting really, really bad. Like, I was, like, crying all the time. And I'm sitting in OR3 crying in my chair. And this one fellow stood up and said, I can't believe what you guys are doing to this guy. He said, you guys all got us together and you want us to help you prove that he's faking? This guy probably hurts more than all of us. I'll have none of it, he said, and he walked out of the room. So, I know all W.C.B. ever did was try to prove I was faking. See, the problem with that is, I loved my job. Like, I drove some of the biggest, nicest trucks that moved oil rigs. And I was a hyperactive workaholic. Like, I couldn't wait to go to work. Like, it wasn't work to me. Like, my record for hours worked in a month is 618 hours. And I can run anything. If it's got wheels and a steering wheel and a gear shift, I can run it. And if it's got just levers, I can run it. I've run everything. Like, I started driving truck when I was 16 years old. But I found out that W.C.B. gives a percentage of what they would have paid me to the workers if they can get me off of W.C.B. And I was at the absolute maximum that W.C.B. pays. Like, at the maximum. So, somebody made a lot of money from me. Because I was 38 years old, which means that's still 30 years close to working. And I was making over 100 grand a year. So, even at 10%, like, that's freaking lots of money. Like, I don't know how much, I'm not going to do the math, but... And the reason they were able to do it is because I'm a criminal. Like, I'm not proud of that fact, but I am. Like, I've done some stuff in my life. And not only am I a criminal, I am a very infamous criminal. I have been on the front page of most of the major newspapers in the world. And, you know, W.C.B. knows who I was. And when I was going for my last deal there, where they decide whether they're going to help you or not, and, you know, and them guys that were going to decide were just all smiling at me and rubbing their hands. I knew they were going to screw me right away. And the guy that they gave me to help me was from another country. And he told me himself, John, I never had no time to work on this. I only got about an hour to work on it. So they gave my file to somebody that was overworked, probably didn't really understand it all. Somebody that they knew that would lose, to guarantee that I got off W.C.B. Like, they screwed me every which way they could. And it's not right. And, you know, like, people say, you're whining and everything like that. Well, yes, I am. But I was wronged really bad, and I've been quiet for a long time about it because how I am such an introvert and a hermit and stuff like that. But that's what they depend on. You know what I mean? Like, I had a forensic psychologist see me for 2 to 3 hours, and he wrote a 42-page report. And I'm going to read that report to you guys, the whole thing. And he said that I had a narcissistic personality, and I was going to fake all the way through, and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And at the same time, I seen a doctor there, and the doctor said, lay on this table, walked out of the room, came back in the room 15 minutes later and said, you can go. He never checked nothing out. So between that forensic psychologist and that doctor, they cut me off W.C.B. And I was just about to start university because I was going to become a lawyer. And, like, they did that just before I started university. And they denied my claim, and I got screwed. And it was easy to screw me. Sad to say.